Well, I haven't got the best backdrop in the world, but I guess this works. Hi, I'm Scorch. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about all of my Fursonas. All of them. I have a few. A lot of them I don't really use that much anymore. I mostly sort of just stick with Scorch, and this new boy, Jay, is very expensive. So mainly, now today, I sort of only have two main Sonas. I have Scorch and I have Jay, who I will get into soon. We will get there eventually. But I thought I'd sort of go over my older Sonas and character. When I say Sona, I mean like a close representation of something that I was or am at the time. And when I say characters, I mean sort of just something I made, like just a character. So I think we should just go over Scorch first, just seeing he's the sort of main kind of thing here. Scorch has gone through about 3 to 4 phases. When I first made him, he was, you know, he had like short hair, which was like bright green. It was going backwards. It was kind of weird. I sort of had an idea of like his nose bit. I didn't know if I wanted it to be like a pattern kind of thing, like a fur pattern, or if I wanted it to be like a scorch mark, hence the name Scorch. He also had this weird little lightning bolt on the side of his eye, as you can see here. He had these sort of like weird, bright, blue, glowy eyes, which was cool at the time, but they sort of got phased out as time went on. He also had, with his tongue, it was sort of like black and green, which at the time I kind of like thought was really cool, but it sort of, again, sort of got phased out. Yeah. Scorch went through a weird transitional period, about like a couple months or a year in of me having him. He went through this weird period where he was like becoming the next transition of Scorch, but I was still figuring stuff out. But basically this version of Scorch, here he is. He had, you know, his still kind of glowy eyes, his hair was definitely longer. And he had grey kind of ears. Still had sort of lightning bolt in his eye, but yeah, I was still kind of figuring out what I wanted to do with that. And he also, I'm pretty sure he had a fully grey tongue at that time. Again, still sort of like a figuring out kind of period. And now for Scorch version 2. Scorch version 2, or V2, or just Scorch number 2 that I was still figuring out. Scorch V2, he had definite longer hair. He still had his like bright blue eyes that sort of slightly glowed. Again, it was like a weird thing that I sort of thought was cool at the time. It's like when you put neons on your car and you're like, hey, that looks cool, but then someone's like, no, and you sort of go, yeah, no. That had nothing to do with this video. I'm too much of a cargo. So he definitely had a few set features at this time. The eye markings specifically were now sort of set to how I have them now, with that sort of down mark and then the sort of weird little loopy bit at the front. That was definitely set in stone. I was like, you know, this looks cool, I'm gonna use it. His tongue was still grey. And now for the big boy, Scorch version 3. So Scorch version 3 is the most up-to-date one. He's the one you know now and the one you see pretty much all over this wall. He has his dark green hair, his yellow eye, his markings are all set. He's kind of cheeky looking, and his ears are a little bit more kind of dark grey. The reason I went with darker green hair is I always thought that his original hair was just way too bright, and it was very, I want to say unnatural, but Sergals are already unnatural because it's a made up species. But I mean, for a Sergal, bright like neon green hair was just way too much. And at the time I had dark green hair and I sort of went, oh, I can link it with that. The yellow eyes, they kind of give it a bit more of a mischievous look. And that's how I like Scorch. I like Scorch being, he's more of a mischievous kind of guy. He's a bit mean, but he also is really, he's a bit of a dick. But that's pretty much Scorch. Now, moving on to other characters besides Scorch, we have Bolt. Yes, I've mentioned Bolt before in my my time in the furry fandom video. So, Bolt. I made Bolt when I was sitting here actually, quite funnily. This is back when I had my desk here, and I was drawing on old-fashioned pencil and paper, and I drew this dog, and I was like, I'm going to give him some horns. I'm going to give him sharp teeth. And at the time, I was very edgy, as you could probably tell. He's quite edgy. But I mean, who isn't edgy when they're 12? I know I am. Still am. But yeah, I then decided to get this program called, actually no, I think I used MS Paint to make it. I'm gonna try and find the original file for Bolt. But if I did, here he is. As you can see, he's kind of a bit weird looking. I used MS Paint to draw it. So I drew it and then I colored over it and then I added effects to it. And that was the first thing of Bolt. The only other thing of Bolt I could think of is I changed his eyes to black for a bit, and I sort of just kept drawing him now and then, but he didn't really get anywhere. He was kind of just that edgy character that I sort of phased out of again, and that's when Scorch came through. So, my most recent and final Fursona is Jay. Jay is a Samoyed, I think that's how you pronounce it, or Samoyed, something like that. He's a big fluffy white cloud, pretty much. He's one of those dogs, one of these. Ah, beautiful, lovely. He's a bit of my sort of materialistic side. I like nice clothing, yes, very nice, pristine, lovely. How to describe Jay? Oh, I know. As my friend Kaiser mentioned, he is a fucking idiot. Lovely. Thanks, Kai. Other than that, I'm still character developing for Jay. I'm sticking with the same, and I'm sticking with the pink hair. I like it. He looks cute. Doesn't he just look so precious? Oh, love him. His purple nose. Anyway, moving on to characters. So, the first character we're going to mention is Psycho. Now, Psycho is, I don't know, I got paint tool Psy, and I was like, I'm gonna draw a dog. It ended up being that. I don't know what that is, but I drew it once and never drew it again. Next character is Catacomb. Now, I went through a weird little phase where I liked sinks. If you don't know what a sink is, here's some sinks. Sinks, I just loved how they looked and how creepy they were. I still do love them, they were pretty cool. So I was like, I want to make my own species. So I made, I think it was a synth or something like that. It was pretty, I didn't really do much out of it because I did this one. It was a collaboration that I did with an old friend of mine, Heartless. And, you know, he's red, he's got some cool eyes, some horns. I mean, he looks pretty spooky. I wouldn't want to walk up to him. I'd probably give him a big hug, honestly. Yeah, I know, I just said I wouldn't, but, you know, whatever. Anyway, moving on. The last three characters here, they were very more like unnamed. They were sort of just sketches and stuff that I did that I still like. And, yeah, so we have X and V. X and V, pretty much, I went through this weird phase where I was like, I want to make a music thing, and I want to do like, you know, this weird music thing, and I can't remember what the original plan was, but it never went through. As most of my ideas do. So now I just have these two characters called X and V. So for these final two, they're unnamed. I don't have any names to them. But the story between these two was I was really depressed. It just took a really dark turn. I was really depressed during school, and that day that I drew them, I just needed to draw something. You know, when you do vent art kind of shit like that. And that's pretty much all my characters. And yeah. So end of the story. My main Sonas that I use right now are Scorch and Jay, these two boys here. And that's about it. You expect to see more like art and stuff of Jay. Yeah, that's pretty much this video. Before I finish this, I do have a Discord server. Oh my god. I made the Discord server, well, I've had it for ages, but this is my first time saying that I have a Discord server. Here's some beautiful screenshots of the server. So I'll leave a link down below. So yeah, if you want to join that, go ahead, feel free. Thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate it. You guys are amazing. I love you all. And also don't forget to follow my Twitter, subscribe, like, it really helps me out. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Toodaloo.